question. Who do we think will win? Before we get to that, let's of course introduce Karalius on the desk. And of course, I am joined by Jat. How are you guys doing?
Doing very well, thank you.
Congratulations on the win. Very, very well played. Your team really came together once the game got going, but the laning phase wasn't really the strongest.
Yeah, that was kind of the plan, go for the late game. The late game should have come a lot earlier though, but it worked out, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Really, really well played. It was great seeing yourself and Nono, playing Vayne there in the bottom lane. We haven't seen him on, too many other champions outside of Israel. Do you guys play a lot of different champions? Because I know you really like Sona.
We play a lot of different champions, but this is best of one. We have to put the best champions in that single game, and that's what we keep doing.
So, sorry about, what is the thing about Sona that makes you pick her all the time over all the other supports to you?
She fits into any team comp.
Yeah.
You can, if you have a team comp and last pick is like, what should I pick right now to make this better overall? Sona is that champ. Plus AP, plus AD, heals, speed buff, slows, AoE ult, everything you want in a support she has.
So is there any difference playing Sona with a Vayne versus playing Sona with an Ezreal?
With Ezreal, you can be a little bit more aggressive early game, but Vayne scales a lot better into late game. That's the only difference.
All right, cool.
Now, with regards to the rest of the team's compositions, we've seen against Authority running a number of different, champion compositions, champion picks. One that really stands out for me is when you guys ran a Lux Ezreal, Karthus combination from, I think it was the qualifiers actually.
Yeah.
And you guys would literally just wait for the light binding to land, follow it up with True Shot Barrage, wait for them to run away, and just have the Rec Room clean them up. Do you guys like those sort of picks, or what sort of team composition does your team like playing?
It's hard to explain. We like being aggressive early and winning lanes, but that's not always possible. For example, a lot of fredy champs get banned, so he can't always win the lane. But we like the playstyle of objective-based playstyle. For example, you hit a spear from Nidalee, you get an objective. You hit a binding from Lux, you get an objective. That's how we like to play. And when you stack these Lux, Nidalee, Karthus on top, they synergize with each other. So one good skill shot, and we can get those objectives and eventually win the game. That's...
I think that's one of the best answers I have ever heard.
I always love talking to supports because they seem to have a really deep understanding of the game. I don't know why it is, but every time we get a support player in this chair, they're just like, oh yeah, we do all these awesome things. And I got a question about just against all authority in general. Fredy, is he a mid laner or is he a side laner? Because in the games you guys have been winning, he's playing mid.
He's a very old school player. I'll tell you that. Maybe 2.5 years ago, no one played a certain role. Everyone just played their champs. So I would play, for example, 4 champs, and if I picked Ashe, I would go AD. If I picked like Sion, I would go middle, and that's how everyone played. So his Karthus is back from all the old days when he would play in middle, and that's just how it works. And you can put Kha'Zix bottom, and it works. So why not? You don't have to go middle just because you're a middle player, as long as you can play your champs. That's it.
What makes you decide where you put the player and the champion? Because we've seen you do 1v2s, we've seen you do lane swaps. What is it that makes AAA decide we want this champion or this player in this lane?
It's just a battle between Schley and Fredy. Fredy says he's the best Karthus middle in Europe. Schley says he's the best Karthus middle in Europe, and they keep swapping around. I can't keep track of that. They just do it whatever they want.
Well, you've touched on Europe. We've got we had a question that went out a little earlier today on Twitter talking about the teams, the European scene in general. You guys have really stepped up to the plate because the first couple of weeks you didn't have too many games, and there was a lot of whispers. What are Against All Authority going to do? What can we expect from them? And you've picked up some really big wins in these last few weeks. What do you think of the tournament in general, the league in general, all 8 teams and the strengths of each respective team?
Well, this is the first time anyone did this, as far as I remember. It's really cool to see how Riot is so much involved into creating the best esport event possible. Season 1 was big, Season 2 was even bigger, and Season 3 is out of this world. And I love this. I love the league. Best of 1 just adds so much to it. Sure, we might play the same champs over and over, but level 1, different strategies level 1, different compositions just for that one game. We saw them so much already. I really love it. And the whole league system itself is very good for Europe in general, for the League of Legends teams, well, for NA2, everyone.
Yeah, so you talk about the best of 1 format. and different strategies every game. And I've been looking at your guys' kind of match history, and you do something completely different almost every game. You run a poke comp, then you run like Volibear Zin or Renekton Zin or something, and here you have Karthus middle, which a lot of people actually haven't been playing much with a Kha'Zix top instead of a Kha'Zix mid. Like, are you guys searching for an identity, or is this just something I haven't found yet? It's like, we do this general style every game. Do you win lanes? What is it?
You could say we play like this all the time, but we're kind of looking for what works for us. But we've been playing together for 4 months before the qualifier. So we had like 3 ways to play. Poke comp, just OP champs if we can get them, or like one skill shot objective.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what we do right now. Just slightly different champs. You have to like invent or find those champs to fit these team comps because the patches come out and stuff. But this is generally how we play. We try to get strong lanes, play aggressive early, build up an advantage, and win the game objective by objective.
So is that what the last team comp was?
Pretty much.
In terms of AA, you're talking, poke comp, objective comp, OP comp. How much preparation goes into each team that you play? You talk prep best of one, or is it more about the lane matchups? You see what composition you're going to run as you're in the game.
Well, every team is different, kinda. For example, against SK, we talked 10 minutes yesterday. We knew they're going to first pick Jarvan, because they did it last game against us. So last game we played, they picked Jarvan and Taric and invaded our buff. So we were like, what can we do to stop this? So we just picked Taric and Sona, and that was our whole game plan. We knew they're gonna pick Jarvan, and then we get Taric Sona. So that's already a very strong aura-based team comp. You get a lot free stats from Taric, a lot free stats from Sona, and then just pick 3 strong champs that can carry late game, and that's it. Karthus, Kha'Zix, and Vayne.
It's beautiful in how simple it is.
Right?
It really, really is. We do actually have to jump onto some Twitter questions that we asked. We asked the question, how would our Europeans do if they were to compete in the Season 3 finals right now? Now, before we get to the first reply from Sup Like a Boss, what would you say to that? How would you answer that question? If the finals were tonight, right now?
I would not want to play that. We just moved into the gaming house. Let us practice a bit. But yeah, I feel Gambit Gaming would just win it. Simple as that.
Well, we'll see. They have a possibility of facing one of the strongest teams from the East at the MLG land. Yeah. But let's see what Sup Like a Boss has to say. He says, similar to what Karalius is saying, Gambit is far superior to any other team in the LCS. Best teams are SK, EG, Fnatic, and Gambit. And he says, go Wolves, but, we'll see.
Tough topic to tread on with an Against All Authority member right here. Would you agree with those choices of the best teams, or you're...
Well, they are right now in the bracket, so yeah,
right.
You can't really argue with success, right?
Very true.
I agree with Gambit Gaming. They're definitely looking amazing, just amazing. So they're definitely the strongest Europe team.
All right, next reply we have is from Da Hungry Bear. Says that European teams would do fantastic, and he feels as though our teams are continuing to prove that they are a force to be feared, and that's obviously in response to what we've seen yesterday at MLG. But if we were to go off the overall results from IEM, what would you say about that after seeing what happened in Hanover?
Well, like half a year ago, Gambit Gaming was the only team that stood up to Koreans. Now they fell. So I kinda predicted that 1.5 years ago. If Koreans come, they will win everything. So we're kind of seeing it now. I just hope Gambit Gaming can actually stand up to Koreans, because no one else seems to...
What about Against Authority? Why don't you guys step up to the plate and take them out later in the year?
Well,
maybe when we practice more in the gaming house.
I like it.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, though. Like, if we go back to the IEM World Championships just last week, even though Gambit Gaming lost the set to Azubu Frost, Millennium, who's didn't even qualify for the LCS, seemed to take Azubu, or CJ Entis, like they changed their name, CJ Entis Frost to the limits. Was that something you expected? Did you see that game?
Yeah, I saw the game. That's kind of the thing. They had such a huge advantage, and they still lost.
All right.
Like, this is how good teams win. This is how you lose against Gambit. You make a mistake, and they use that mistake to win the game. It's hard to win against Koreans. It's really hard. As much as it's hard to win against Gambit, they just don't make mistakes. It's even harder against Koreans. So if you get an advantage early game and don't close it out, it doesn't matter.
We have another reply here from Radoslav Tenyak. Jack, I'm sorry to anybody out there whose name I'm butchering, but I don't think they would do well. Accept some crazy games from Gambit or Fnatic, or they could do something versus the crazy Asians. Only they can. And, you know, we've been saying this time and time and time again. We haven't seen Fnatic yet today. They will actually be playing next against the Evil Geniuses. And, you know, they've also been a little bit shaky. The end of the Super Week, they sort of, you know, looked a little bit... shaky is the best word to describe it. They went, I think it was 1-4 at Intellectual Master C. But what are you expecting out of this Fnatic versus Evil matchup?
Very hard to call. I would assume no one would predict this game. EG had a rough week too. Like, they prepared really hard for this, I would assume. They don't want a repeat of the previous week. So Fnatic won the last game, so anyone can take it. I'm very excited to see it.
What about if you think about how Evil Geniuses played in the first match of the day? If you think about how we've seen them playing that matchup with support Elise, you know, with Frogan on Lux, what do you think?
Well, that's kind of the thing. There was one moment when they got aced, just because they played passive a lot, and now they're trying to play very aggressive. So they're new to this. Fnatic isn't. Fnatic is an excellent team later in game. They find ways to win when being behind like every single game. So I would still think Fnatic will take the game that way.
Well, it's definitely something. Yeah, definitely something we're going to have to see. And of course, is going to be Mr. Lee D-Man Smith on the caster desk. He is joined by JCap LOL, Mr. Jason Kaplan. Take it away, guys. JCap.